Hello guys, welcome to Players Guild. Today we have, well, a Hairs Down day for once. And beside that we have the very last part of analyzing all the Datamined mercenaries that we have seen. A huge shout out to Out of Cards who managed to datamine all of those mercenaries and all the numbers for us. And yeah, so if you haven't seen, Mercenaries is a new Hearthstone mode that I'm really excited about. I got through all of the protectors and fighters, and this is the part 2 of the casters. All of those videos are on our channel, so make sure to check them out if you haven't seen them yet. All of them are probably the same length as this video, because there's lots of mercenaries, lots to talk about, all their abilities. It's my full-blown analysis. And thank you to everyone who has been watching. It means an awful lot, and all your comments just making me want to do more and more of those videos. But this is not the last video we're going to do before the release of Mercenaries in a week on 12th of October. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be doing some theory crafting, so make sure to stay tuned to the channel, make sure to subscribe if you want to see my potential builds. Of course, they're all going to be a very perfected builds, so I'm going to be working off the ability to upgrade any character to the max level and upgrading any ability I would want to upgrade to the max level, and the same gaining all the equipment, which I think is going to take me about 2 weeks of live game. But as soon as the game goes live, I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be streaming all the bounties, going live for all the tutorials, and I'm going to be testing all of the comps that I'm going to be theory crafting starting tomorrow. So make sure to join in for the stream. There's going to be stream on the 12th evening for that's going to be 7 p.m. BST, British summertime. I think that's when the game starts. It might be earlier. I will probably start streaming a bit earlier, but if you subscribe and click that bell for notification, you will know when I'm going live, and you will know when the event is going to be happening. And then there's going to be another 2 streams on Wednesday. I'm going all in on the first couple of days of Mercenaries because the mode just looks absolutely amazing to me. But without further ado, let's go through those Mercenaries, because I just talk a lot today. So first we're going to witness the full power of Millhouse Mana Storm. So yeah, sorry about that. Millhouse is a mage, and in World of Warcraft my main character was actually a mage, so I have a soft spot for mages, and Millhouse is one of my favorite characters, just along there with Jaina. So Millhouse is a caster gnome. At level 1 he has 1 attack and 8 health, so very low attack and health, but he is a mage. Mages are fairly squishy and they are supposed to have a big burst of damage. At level 15 he has 2 attack and 35 health, and then at level 30 5 attack and 64 health, which puts him at a very low health total. He's on the same level as Ragnaros, which means that he's very, very squishy. It's the lowest health total. Ragnaros and Millhouse have the lowest health total from all the mercenaries. 5 attack, also very, very low for max level character. So even if you're going to crash in it, in Millhouse, he's not going to be hitting back that much. So let's see what his abilities do, because I would expect that they're going to pack a punch. So his first ability is Arcane Explosion, a typical arcane spell. So 4 speed arcane ability that deals 2 damage to all enemies. So this one actually caps out at 8 damage, which is fairly low as far as damage goes, right? So we have Baron Gaddon, which can deal 16 damage if you have a fire ability used before him. But if you don't, it's just 8 damage and 6 speed ability. This one is 8 damage at 4 speed. But I think we have seen Jaina building up a lot of frost damage. So I would expect Millhouse to be able to build arcane damage. I don't think we have seen anyone building arcane damage. And arcane is known from the more they're casting, the more damage they do. So I'm looking forward to that. But as far as this ability goes, it's a fast AoE. It might be good in certain situations. I would like to see how he gets additional abilities. Additional damage. His second ability is Arcane Bolt. which is a 6-speed arcane ability that deals 4 damage and gains 1 arcane damage. There we go, there's our arcane damage gain. So this one has a typical breakpoint of rank 3, dealing 10 damage and gaining 3 arcane damage per use. So you need to use it 3 times to put it in line with other AoEs, to put his Arcane Explosion with other AoEs, which is actually really low. This is actually really low. As it takes long. Like the fire comp can just turn 1, they can just board wipe you. Turn 2 even, because they're going to go Ragnaros's ability, then they're going to go Inferno Flamestrike, and turn 1 they went Flamestrike, and then suddenly you took 60 odd damage on everything you have. Yeah, so this is going to take a long time. It's like Millhouse, right? I just need some mana, and then I'll start casting my spells, and he takes forever to load up, and that's pretty much how he feels. At rank 5, it just increases damage by further 2. Doesn't increase the arcane damage, which is a bit sad, because I think if he could increase the arcane damage further, that would be nice. But he is a rare mercenary, so I don't expect an awful lot. And the final one is Greater Arcane Missiles. So this is a 9-speed arcane ability with cooldown 2. Shot 3 missiles at random enemies that deal 5 damage each. And yeah, so breakpoint is on rank 3, which is 13 damage, and then it goes to rank 5 at 15 damage. This is an amazing target for Elun's Grace, because you're going to make this faster, and you can only use it every 3 turns. But you can make this faster, and then cast it twice, and that's an amazing amount of damage you can do there. If you have at 13, so first 2 turns you do need to go Arcane Bolt, so that's going to be 19. And you have 19 times 6, essentially, with Elun's Grace. That is, off the top of my head, 114 damage. Yeah, I think I miscounted somewhere there. Something like that. It's almost 120 damage, isn't it? Yeah, 120 minus 6. Yeah, it's 114 damage. Yeah, it's an amazing ability. This is where Millhouse is going to be strong. But at the same time, I mean, all the arcane damage is worth a lot more with Greater Arcane Missiles than it is with Arcane Explosion, which is a bit sad and a bit telling as well, but it's a good ability, it's a good final ability, but you need to level up Millhouse to level 15 before you have access to it. For his equipment, the first one is Arcane Powder, which flat out increases the damage on Arcane Explosion by up to 4, so Arcane Explosion can be dealing 12 damage. So then you only need 2 Arcane Bolts to get it on the same level as Inferno, for example, or Flame Strike. Second equipment is Mana Rod. Arcane Bolt gains +1 arcane damage more, but has +1 cooldown. Okay. So it only gives 1 cooldown, but it can increase the arcane damage by up to 4. Which means 1 arcane bolt gives you 7 arcane damage. This is insane. But you can't use it to turn 1. That's the gimmick. So you are forced to use Arcane Explosion turn 1. Then turn 2 you go Arcane Bolt. So this equipment is only really worth it if you have +3 or more, so you need to have rank 3 or rank 4 for this to be worth it, because you lose that turn 1 arcane damage. Is it worth it though? Does it actually accelerate you? Because normally you would go turn 1 arcane bolt +3, turn 2 arcane bolt +3. It accelerates you if you have +4 arcane damage on this. Because then you go +4, so +7 on turn 2, where you would normally have +6, so you have 1 ahead. Then in the next 2 turns, you're going to get another +7, so you are on 14, where you would be on 12. So yeah, every other turn you get 2 additional arcane damage. Beside that, it gives you that opening turn where you don't need to use Arcane Bolt, and you can use Arcane Explosion, for example. The problem is that initial action you do need to do Arcane Explosion, which is a bit problematic. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It definitely feels better than flat out increase on the Arcane Explosion. And the last one is Leyline Wand, which says greater arcane missiles targets the lowest health enemy. This is really good. I mean, yeah, if you're going to go Alun's Grace into greater arcane missiles, it's going to be amazing because you're just going to pick that one target and take it apart. I like this. I think this is going to be the equipment to go for. You do need to unlock it, whatever is going to be the unlock requirements, the quest or whatever it is. But you do need to get the Leyline Wand as soon as possible and just build Millhouse with Tyrande. I think that's the build. So yeah, Arcane might be quite interesting. I need to see what I can do. Maybe Arcane Nature mix. So you start off with Nature and you boost your bench. You boost your Millhouse. So he has more survivability, more health. I do have some ideas for Millhouse. I do like Millhouse. I'm going to be trying to use Millhouse. Also, I think Millhouse is one of the first characters you get, so definitely worth looking at. He's not the greatest. He's interesting, but he's not great. So as far as the grade goes for Millhouse, I would say he's going to be grade B. Just because he's a bit too slow. He takes too long to get to that 10 mana. Now it's time to again. Murlocs are absolutely canonic to anything in World of Warcraft. Love them. I used to play Murlocs back in set 1 for Hearthstone. And here we have Morgul the Oracle. One of the nicer cards from Murlocs that came out at some point. So, Morgul the Oracle is a caster Murloc. At level 1, he has 1 attack and 12 health, so decent health total, low attack. Level 15, he has 4 attack and 43 health. It's, again, a health actually on that level is on the higher end. And level 30, 8 attack, 78 health, so he does have a high-end health. Attack is a mediocre, it's kind of what you expect for the caster. It's not too low. So when they're crashing into him with melee attacks, they still take some damage back. So he's the third Murloc we have, and we only have 3 Murlocs to start with. So Murloc comp is going to be very limited initially. I do hope we're going to get more Murlocs and you can have full Murloc comp. As far as it goes, at the moment Murlocs are getting Sylvanas as a boss monster. I think that's going to be about that. So for his abilities, the first one is a 4-speed nature ability. Deal 2 damage, give your Murlocs +1 health. Murlocs like having a lot of health because they're generally swarming. So we know that you can have up to 6 units on board. So this can be actually quite a lot. So breakpoint is rank 3. I don't think you need to go below. You don't need to go further than rank 3. It's deal 8 damage and all your Murlocs get 5 health. That includes Morgal, because he's a Murloc as well. So further on, it just increases the damage by 1 each. If you have spare coins, sure, additional damage is always nice. But I think the most important thing about Murloc missiles is that additional health to all your tokens and things like that. Would be nice if Murloc missiles was working after the tokens, but I think all the tokens are also speed 4, so it's a coin flip if Murloc Missile is going to be acting after any of the tokens. For his second ability, we have Fishy Barrage. It's a 7-speed nature ability with 1 cooldown. Deal 4 damage to a random enemy. Repeat for each of your other Murlocs. Okay, so breakpoints are the same as always. Rank 3 deal 10 damage and rank 5 deal 12 damage. I think it's the same damage, exactly the same damage that the Murloc Missile do. But this one is also multiplied for each of your Murlocs. So if you have the full board of Murlocs, if you have 6 Murlocs on board, this can cap at rank 3 just 60 damage to random targets though. He's a caster, so he's going to be doing a lot of damage to protectors. So if a heavy protector comp is going to be coming in, or if you're lucky, you can do a lot of damage with this. Will you be taking out anyone with this? small chance. Even if you go to 12, that's times 6, 72. But all your Murlocs need to survive that long. And you can only do one Murloc. You can only spawn one token a turn. And then you also have Mutanus who wants to actually eat those Murlocs. So it's very unlikely you're going to get all 6 off. And then the final ability is Healing Wave. It's a 5-speed nature ability with cooldown 1 that says restore 3 health. If the target hasn't acted yet, restore 6 health instead. So this is flat out doubling the healing if it's acting before the target, which can be quite good if you give it to a taunt. If you heal the taunt, it's a good nature ability. Problem is that all the other abilities are only working with Murlocs. So this one, as much as Healing Wave is a nice shaman ability, actually. Being on cooldown 1, you can't use it that efficiently in any other comp besides the Murloc comp, really. So breakpoints are actually very interesting. So you would always want to restore as much as possible. But the increase on the basic healing is not that bad. So from rank 1 to rank 2 you have the biggest jump. And actually the breakpoint is going to be a rank 2. Surprisingly. That's going to be 8 damage and then 8 health and 16 health heal. Then it's increased by 3 and 6 respectively. And then it's by 2 and 4 respectively twice. So I think that after rank 2, I don't think there is a per se breakpoint. You do need to get rank 2. And after that, when you have coins, you should upgrade this if you don't need your Murloc abilities. I think he's good for Murlocs mostly for the first ability and this ability. The Fishy Barrage is an interesting finisher, but I think you can do more with Mutanus and Old Murkai. And all the tokens that you're getting there. So I think this is Morgul is mostly going to be dedicated healer for Murlocs. And I don't hate that. Giving 5 health every turn if you need to. If they're at max health. Or if you need to heal someone like right now. You just use the Healing Wave. So I think you can easily forget about Fishy Barrage until you have spare coins, essentially. Then into his equipment. His first one is Morgal Smith. Murloc missile buffs all friendly characters. Okay, so now he's not only a Murloc support character, which makes him tons better. You are losing equipment slot for that though. But any token build, maybe nature / beast build would be interesting. Yeah, because that's a very interesting idea, right? Because you can have the interaction with Malfurion or Tyrande even. But you are losing an equipment slot on him, which I think is a lot to ask for. Second equipment is Fishy Barrage. Oh, Spiky Pufferfish. Just flat out increase on the Fishy Barrage, which is actually more than it looks like. Because Fishy Barrage, you can... In a basic Murloc comp, Fishy Barrage does its damage 4 times. Because let's be honest, there's going to be a token spawned just before Fishy Barrage. So there's going to be 4 times. So each of those increases is actually times 4. So increasing by 16 damage is actually not bad, the total damage done. Problem is you still don't control where it goes. So it's a bit... It's good to increase though. It's definitely one of the better increases. And the last one is Dowsing Rod, which flat out increases the heal of Healing Wave by up to 10 more. And that's not the before after, it's total. So if you do it before someone acts at max rank, it's going to be 40. And if you do it after they act, it's going to be 25. It's still good. If I had enough coins to upgrade Fishy Barrage, I would look at Pufferfish. This one would be the one I would look for if I had enough coins to upgrade Fishy Barrage. If I didn't, I would probably look at the increase of the Healing Wave. Just to make it easier to keep my stuff alive, essentially. Because Mutanus gets more stats either way when a Murloc dies, so you just need to keep stuff alive. Every other turn, the healing wave, just healing more. So, where do I put Morgul? I would put Morgul at B. He's solid, but ultimately he only works for Murlocs. I think he has some potential with being able to affect all the characters, but ultimately I think he's just for Murlocs. And next one on our list is a Priestess, Nathalie Celine. So she's a caster human. Level 1, she has 1 attack and 12 health, so high health total for level 1. Level 15, 2 attack and 40 health, so she's a bit down there in the middle, but very low attack. And level 30, she has 4 attack and 70 health. So she's a caster, she doesn't need a lot of attack, but being at 4 puts her really, really low. Because it means that doesn't matter who crashed into her on melee, they're not really taking any damage. 70 health is also on the lower end of that between 70 and 80 that we expect. So it is a bit lower than expected. Well, let's look at her abilities. First ability is 4 speed shadow ability, Shadow Beam. Deal 3 damage. If you have Anathema, deal 5 damage instead. So I assume Anathema and Benediction, which is 2 sides of the same weapon, are here. Which is interesting. I wonder if that's an equipment or if that's an ability. So as far as the damage breakpoints go, it's as usual, rank 3 deal 8 damage, but if you have Anathema, it's deal 14. And then rank 5, it's deal 10 damage, but if you have Anathema, it's 16. So yeah, rank 3 is the most important one, because the rest just increases the flat out increase of damage by 2. Next one is 2 speed holy ability, Light Beam. Restore 5 health. If you have Benediction, restore 10 health instead. Okay, so I think the last ability is going to be Anathema / Benediction. Because generally you should be able to change them. Okay, so so the breakpoints here are... Ooh, they're really weird. So on rank 3, as usual, you have the biggest jumps with 9 health and then 18 health. But rank 4 is 9 health and then 20 health. And rank 5 is 10 health and 20 health. That's a very weird... That's a very weird upgrade. So rank 4 might be your most important upgrade, because rank 5 I don't think is going to be making an awful lot of sense. I think Light Beam is mostly going to be used if you have Benediction up. And the last ability is Anathema into Benediction, yeah. So Anathema is a 6 speed shadow ability with cooldown 1, and I assume Benediction is going to be holy ability with cooldown 1 as well, and 6 speed as well. Anathema says deal 4 damage to all enemies, and it upgrades all the way to 14, with breakpoint being rank 3, just barely, at 11 damage. So you can use this every other turn. So if you use Anathema, it becomes Benediction, but it goes on cooldown. So then it needs to skip 1 turn. So every other turn you can swap the weapon. Okay, got it. I assume, this is all the assumption, that Benediction is going to be AoE heal, kind of like Circle of Healing. So if you need that AoE hit, or if you need to go into healing mode, you can just use the Anathema. Or if you need that AoE heal because your whole team is getting low, you can use Benediction, but then you're stuck into the DPS mode. It's interesting enough. It has both interactions with Shadow and Holy, so a typical discipline thing. I'm intrigued. I'm not sure how good it's going to be, because the cooldown 1 is really... It's going to be taking a lot of time to swap between weapons. So if you're in Anathema, you're essentially stuck into dealing damage. If you're in Benediction, you're stuck into healing just to have the best outcome, right? The best variation of your abilities. Of course, if you need to heal when you're on Anathema, you can still do that. Nothing is stopping you. It's just not as effective. And for the equipment, the first one is Eye of Shadow. Anathema and Shadow Beam deal 1 more damage, and that's flat out increase by up to 4, which is fair enough. With Anathema it's actually quite good because the AoE is just going to deal way more damage, which is not a bad equipment. So Eye of Divinity, Benediction and Light Beam restore 2 more health, and this goes all the way up to 8, which again I expect Benediction to be AoE heal, which yeah, both Eye of Shadow and Eye of Divinity are actually quite decent. But it's really difficult to take Nathalie in one specific way because you can't. You take Eye of Divinity or you take Eye of Shadow, and you just go with your Shadow ability on single target. Then you go AOE, and then your Shadow ability does less damage, and significantly so, because you don't have Anathema and you need to wait 2 turns before you can go into Anathema. That is a bit. I think that's going to be a bit scary and problematic to use those two. So what's the last one? The last one is Splinter of Nordrassil. Elvish language. I know how to say Nordrassil. I've said it so many times. Why couldn't I say it? Never mind. Anathema and Benediction have no cooldown. That is my choice. As far as I go for the choices, Splinter of Nordrassil is my choice for the equipment for Nathalie, because it lets you, on the whim essentially, within a turn to decide you're going DPS or you're going heal. And on turn 1 you can just unload the Anathema and you Benediction and you have your Nathalie. Because turn 1 you don't need to heal either way. So having that AoE immediately and then go into healing mode is absolutely amazing. She's a human, so there's lots of interaction there as well. Because we have seen with Anduin, which is a bit better healer, I think. He's he's a better support. I don't think he's a better healer. Because Nathalie having Benediction and her Hollywood. Yeah, so as far as where I would grade Nathalie. Nathalie is solid. But I think she essentially has... I mean, you can take her in the Shadow route, right? We can try to build some Shadow composition and just very rarely press that Anathema button. As soon as you do, you just heal someone on the next turn, then you use Benediction, heal your whole team, so you lose that DPS on 2 turns. But she's solid. If you can get Splinter of Nordrassil, she becomes way better. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you can unlock Splinter of Nordrassil. As far as the grade goes, I'm going to say she is solid, but because she does 2 things at once, she does them solid, but until you have Splinter of Nordrassil, she's not that great. You do need to have that Splinter of Nordrassil for her to be great. So I think I'm going to give her a B. If you have Splinter, she's amazing, but until you have Splinter, or until you want... If you want to try her in any other way, sure. But I think Splinter is the only way to go, because then she's Jack of all trades, master of... So today we are invaded by a lot of priests, and our next one is Prophet Velen himself. So, Prophet Velen is a caster Draenei. At level 1, 1 attack, 8 health, he is a priest, he's not attacking. Level 15, 3 attack, 39 health, so a bit lower on the health, very low attack. Level 30, 6 attack and 74 health, so he does have a bit more bulk to his attack. And he has a decent life total. And nothing great, but nothing too bad either. Prophet Velen was a very important character. He was a friend, I think, to Archimond and Kil'jaeden. So the 3 of them used to rule Draenei, and then Kil'jaeden just took 2 of them as Eredar Lords. I think Jaraxxus was somewhere in there as well, because he's also an Eredar Lord, but the major one was Kil'jaeden and Archimond. So, for his ability, the first one is Holy Blast. 7 speed holy ability that deals 4 damage to a target and then restores 2 health to your characters. Okay, so this is a very interesting ability. So, the damage increase... Oh! This ability actually doesn't have a breakpoint. Both damage and heal increase are the same throughout every single rank. I think the most important one to get to is going to be rank 4, which gives that 10 damage, which is the easiest one to calculate on what you're doing. And it's also an AoE heal. It's similar to Holy Nova, just doesn't do AoE, just goes single target. And then it heals your AoE. It's really nice ability. I don't think we're going to see anything that does holy damage, but I would like to see holy damage. But holy is mostly going to be healing, so I don't think that's ever going to happen. His second ability is 6 speed holy ability with 1 cooldown, Splitting Light. So this one deals 3 damage to an enemy. Holy combo also damages its neighbors, so this is kind of like AoE. So the breakpoint here is going to be rank 3, 13 damage. Then you have a very minuscule upgrades at rank 4 and 5, 1 damage each, capping at 15. So if you use a holy ability before this one, any of the heals that we have seen, this is just going to do damage to 3 characters. And that's not a small damage either. Up to 15 damage is not a bad damage. Any of them being red, of course, you increase the damage. And if my feeling is right, if my gut feeling is right, we're going to have something that increases the damage of Splitting Light. And this is going to be actually really, really nice in a holy comp. I hope we can get a holy comp. Velen's Blessing. So that's his final ability. 6 speed. Holy ability with cooldown 2. Gain 1 holy damage. Your next holy ability casts twice. Wait, what? Okay, so at rank 3 he gets plus 3 holy damage. And you can use it only every 3 turns, which is an important thing. So he gets plus 3 holy damage. And then it increases the speed up to 4. So 4 speed ability. Plus 3 holy damage every 3 turns. I mean, the fact that the holy damage is even there is really good. Cooldown 2 is a bit painful, but it works kind of like Lune's Grace. It just has a bigger cooldown. It can be used on the heals. I think there is some other holy abilities that can be used more than once. That would be nice. You can't stop yourself from using a holy ability until you can use Velen's Blessing again, because that's just pointless. Although, you know, that would be weird, because you would need to make sure that Prophet Velen actually survives that long. I think there might be something in there for PvE, not necessarily for PvP. I think this might be a meme potential. But no, ability is good. On cooldown 2, it's not going to be used that often. At least you can use it turn 3. If you're going to build pure holy, yeah, that is doable. That is actually quite doable now with Prophet Velen. Let's move on to his equipment. The first one is Blessed Shard. Yeah, this is what I was expecting. This is a flat out increase of damage on Splitting Light. So Splitting Light is going to be doing 15, 19 damage. Times 3, that's going to be 57 damage. It's not bad. It's split again. It's split in 3 targets, and you need to be using a holy ability earlier, but it's actually really nice damage increase. Equipment 2 is going to be Tome of Inspiration. Holy Blast restores 2 more health to your character, so this is flat out heal increase. It's actually not a bad equipment because the basic heal of Holy Blast is not that much. At rank 5, it's 6 damage. Sorry, 6 health that's restored. So you can increase it to 11 and then it becomes a decent heal. Especially with no cooldown. So yeah, that's a really good ability. Oh, sorry, equipment. And the last one is Potion of Light. That gives Velen Deathrattle. That restores 10, 20, 30 and up to 40 health to your characters. Which is sure. But Velen is big enough healer. If you can increase your heal or if you increase your damage and take out opponents. I don't know which one would be more important. I know Potion of Light is not going to be it. but I don't know which one is going to be more important. Is it going to be Tome of Inspiration to increase the heal of your basic ability? Or if it's going to be Blessed Shot that's going to increase the damage on Splitting Light? As far as Velen goes, I'm going to say that he's going to be a grade A. He makes a holy comp actually possible just by himself, and I love it. He has a holy combo and holy damage. He's literally the only reason to build a holy comp, but Anduin just might have found himself another home. And if we can mix holy and shadow somehow, so have a double comp, Nathalie might see home in here as well, because when we swap from Velen to whatever is going to be the shadow guy, Nathalie is going to be really, really good, because with the splint of Teldrassil, she will be able to switch between shadow and holy however she wants. I like it. I like Velen a lot. I might be playing around with making a build with him. I have so many builds I want to try, and only 7 slots. Guys, I need your help. Down in the comments, please let me know what sort of compositions or what sort of characters would you like me to build around. And I will choose, well, 6, I think. If we're going to get that many, I'm going to choose some of them. I'm going to build them, because I do have a couple of ideas I want to build. Fire is one of them, and I might be building humans either way. But if you have any other ideas, do let me know down in the comments, and I will be theory crafting in the coming week. Next one is Thompson, the second Rome sister. So we have seen her sister Cariel, and we have seen the father Cornelius. So Thompson is a caster undead. Level 1, she has 1 attack and 8 health. She's a warlock. Level 15, she has 4 attack and 42 health. Level 30, she has 8 attack and 79 health. The 79 health is amazing for a warlock. She has a big life total. So warlocks are mostly known for using curses or sacrificing their demons to get stats, things like that. Or summoning demons in the first place, right? So let's see, what do we have here. Her first ability is Shadow Bolt. 5 speed shadow ability, deal 3 damage. It scales nicely. At rank 3, this is going to be the break point, 11 damage, and then rank 5, 13 damage. So it is a decent single target ability. Shadow ability with 5 speed. It probably will have some interaction, because we even seen interaction with Holy, so I expect that in the last... I think we have 4 characters left here. There is going to be a Shadow... I'm going to call it Shadow Lord, because Velen is a Holy Lord. Well, Ragnaros is definitely a Fire Lord. Yeah, I'm going to call them Lords. I played a lot of Magic in my life. Her second ability is a Demon. It's a minion ability. 4 speed, 1 cooldown demon, Void Consumer. So something that eats the void. Taunt. After you cast a shadow ability, gain +1/+1. This is actually not bad as far as the shadow comp goes, because it's not only on Thompson. Obviously, everyone who uses a shadow ability, so that's even Nathalie with her anathema. So this guy is just getting bigger and bigger. Again, as with all the minions, this is a disclaimer. I'm not doing any analysis on the tokens, because we don't know how they scale with every level. I have not seen that, and we need to wait for a live game to come out, and I'm going to be looking and taking a note at the stats of all the demons as they rank up. All the minions as they rank up. As far as the abilities goes, though, after you cast the shadow ability, it gets +3/+3 on rank 3 and +3/+5 on rank 5. So kind of what we've seen with the increase of stats. But the fact that this demon can get +9/+15 every turn, even the turn that it's summoned, it can get +6/+10 when it's rank 5. This is actually really, really scary. So I am looking forward to it, at how scary it can get. It has taunt, so it protects all of your guys from melee attacks. So it's only really ability users that are going to be difficult to deal with. And her final ability is Veil of Shadows. So it's a 6 speed shadow ability with 1 cooldown that gains gains 1 shadow damage. Enemies can't heal this turn. And oh my god, this ability is stupid. Wow. So this ability ranks up all the way to rank 5, and there is no breakpoint. You need to get rank 5 on this ability. If you have coins for Thompson, this is one that you do need to upgrade, because with every rank up it gains 1 additional shadow damage and it reduces its speed by 1. So it goes all the way down to speed 2. So you go the demon, then you go Veil of Shadows, and the next then you go Veil of Shadows, and you have +5 shadow damage. Thompson might be actually the Shadow Lord that we are looking for. She doesn't have Shadow combo, which is fine. She gets 5 shadow damage base and stops your opponent from healing every other turn. She's going to be a monster in PvE. Sorry, in PvP, I wanted to say. She's going to be a monster, especially... Yeah, because if after the Veil of Shadows we use Anathema, that's tons of damage. And then we have our own heal in Benediction, and then Anathema again. So every turn you do Veil of Shadows, you can do Anathema with Nathalie if you take the Teldrassil equipment. I'm starting to love this. Why do I keep on talking myself into loving new compositions? I mean, I just love the games, the potential of the game in here. Her first equipment is Shadowrun. This is flat out increase to her basic ability damage, so it's just 4 more damage. That didn't split into any further damage, so it's alright. It's nothing great. Next one is Voidstone. Flat out increase in stats for the Void Consumer up to +4, +8, which probably is going to be alright. So she doesn't have a good equipment so far. And the last one is Last Rites. Deathrattle, summon a 10/10 Void God with Taunt. So she actually doesn't have a good equipment. The Void God ranks up all the way to 25/25 Taunt, which is decent stats, but it's nothing great. You don't want Thompson to die. So definitely Last Rites is nothing that I will be looking at as equipment for her. It's probably interesting for PvE or if you don't have a full comp with her. So if she's just there. But if you have her fully upgraded, it's going to be one of the first to either flat out shadow damage increase on your... Also flat out damage increase on your Shadow Bolt. Or flat out increase in stats on the Void Consumer. And I think Void Consumer is going to be a bit better, because you're going to be rotating it with her final ability, because they're both cooldown ones. So turn 1 you go Shadow Bolt, then you go Void Consumer, and then you start increasing your shadow damage, and that's how you go. I think that's going to be how Thompson is working with Nathalie, so we just need to find one more to fit in that front row. I'm quite excited about this one. Thompson, where do I put you? You are a rare mercenary. You're also one of the titular mercenaries of the PvE Hearthstone mode. I'm going to say that you are going to be grade A. You are a Shadow Lord in this version. Getting the stupid amount of shadow damage, stopping your opponent from healing, work brilliantly with Nathalie, and you have another payoff for the shadow with the Void Consumer, which is technically a shadow combo. Yeah, you as the Shadow Lord are going to be graded A. Turning away from the shadows and going back to the light, we have Uther, the first of the paladins, the Silver Hand. So Uther is surprisingly a caster, a human caster. On level 1 he has 3 attack and 13 health, so high stats, reasonably high stats for a caster. Level 15, 6 attack and 43 health, again fairly high health. Attack is more or less what we would expect. And level 30 he has 10 attack and 77 health. So high health, actually fairly high attack for the caster. So Uther actually might be a melee character. That would be really interesting to see another melee caster, because we've seen Guff as well. So, first ability is Blessing of Protection. It's a free speed ability, holy ability. Restore 2 health to a friendly character and give them taunt this turn. So he's actually a taunt giver. So the only thing that scales is how much he's healing. And it's a flat scaling, so all the way up to rank 5, it just increases by 2 each. So it caps at 10 health. which is interesting. So you definitely would want to upgrade this if you can. He can do it to himself, so he can become toned himself. You can taunt up the character that you want to be hit in a way, so that your opponent doesn't do critical damage. That's actually a very good shout. Or you can taunt up a character with high attack versus PvE, or just melee composition. His second ability is Hammer of Justice, a 5-speed holy ability. Deal 4 damage to your character. Its next ability is 1 speed slower, so this is kind of like a stammering blow, or whatever it was from Grommash. So it scales both with damage and the speed down, but up to rank 3. So rank 3 is going to be a breakpoint, where it slows down by 3 and deals 10 damage, then just increases the damage by 1 each, which is not really worth 120 coins, unless you have them spare, of course. At 5 speed, it's not that great. It can slow down all the abilities with 6 speed or less, so you can still break your opponent's combos, but it's not that easy to break combos early on, like 2 or 3 speed, so you can't break the actual rogue combos. And last ability is Avenging Wrath. 8 speed ability with 1 cooldown, holy ability. Deal 4 damage to random enemy. Repeat for each holy ability you've cast this turn. It's actually not that great. As much as, yeah, holy is amazing. I like holy with the Holy Lord being Velen. This one scales on damage to rank 3, where it does 12 damage, and then rank 5 does 14, so it's a small increase there. Or it's bigger than it seems, because it can deal damage up to 3 times. But that's it. It can deal damage up to 3 times. It's random targets. You can't choose where it goes. If you have some holy damage, yeah, I guess with Velen, this is not bad, because Velen keeps on gaining holy damage, and then Avenging Wrath just keeps on dealing more and more damage. It's not bad per se. I don't want to say it's bad, but at the same time, it's every other turn. I guess if you have full holy comp with benediction and things like that, Uther can also give something taunt and heal it. The stammering shot, the stammering blow, whatever, the Hammer of Justice, that's the one, is also going to be quite useful. Well, let's see what the equipment does, if it helps anything. The first one is Lightbringer, his famous weapon. Hammer of Justice deals 2 more damage, so it's flat out increase for Hammer of Justice, up to 5 damage. It's a decent single target at that point. His second equipment is Gleaming Pauldrons. Avenging Wrath deals 1 more damage. This one I like more as a flat damage increase, because this is increasing damage by 4, so up to 12. Yeah, 12 damage increase, of course, over 3 different targets. I don't think you can spawn any minions with holy abilities, which is sad, but it would be nice if we could. And then the last equipment is Librium of Sacrifice. On rank 3, it gives Deathrattle, give another friendly merc Divine Shield. And on rank 4, it gives all your characters Divine Shield, not only mercs. So I'm in between. All equipments are decent. None of them make Uther that great, in my opinion, because he doesn't have a good payoff. He has a decent, not good, decent heal, and I don't think he's that great, actually. He doesn't have fast holy abilities to combo well with Velen. Yeah, I think the best thing about Uther is that he's a human, so he can be healed by Anduin, but at the same time, you can't have too many casters on the team, because then it becomes skewed. So, although Holy Team is, I think, Holy Team is going to be only casters, which poses a problem a bit, because against a team that has a lot of fighters, especially AoE fighters, this is going to be problematic. Okay. I'm still happy to see how it goes. I might be wrong about Uther, but as far as the grade goes, I think Uther is going to get a B from me. He's solid, but he doesn't do anything great. Librium of Sacrifice is interesting, but then that means you want Uther to die. I think Tyrion does that better, by the way. Just give Divine Shield to your stuff. Yeah, so Uther is going to be a grade B. Now we're going to look at yet another mage. This one is going to be a chilling mage. So Volgin Dawngrasp is a Blood Elf mage, Blood Elf caster. He's another one of the titular mercenaries from the PvE mode. So he's on the Horde side. At level 1, he's 1 attack and 10 health. At level 15, he's 3 attack and 41 health. And at level 30, he has 6 attack and 75 health. So he actually has a fairly high health total for a mage. I guess him being a frost mage, although Jaina is also frost, she doesn't have that high attack. So I'm curious, probably because he's a rare, so he needs a bit more survivability. And he probably doesn't have that hard hitting abilities. So let's look at the first one. His first ability is Flurry. 5 speed ability, Frost. Deal 2 damage to a random enemy merc. They are 1 speed slower next turn. So it's only next turn that it's slowing down. Which is interesting. But it also has a very interesting breakpoint. Definitely breakpoint is going to be rank 3. Because it deals 4 damage to 3 random enemy mercs and slows them by 2 each. As a 5 speed ability is not that great, but because you can keep on spamming it, you can make them permanently slower. And then it just increases the damage by 1 each on those ranks. But because it's 3 targets, it's technically increasing damage by 3. It's nice. It's not bad. Slowing down your opponent on multiple targets. In PvP, it's going to be really nice because it's going to be hitting all of the mercenaries unless they run any of the minion comps. His second ability is Cold Snap. 6 speed frost ability with 1 cooldown. It deals 2 damage to all enemies. On a death blow, it freezes all enemies. Pardon me. So the damage is getting up there, but it's a very low damage, and that's... I think Jaina was building up some frost damage, so he has very low damage and very high health total. This is kind of what I expected. It caps at 8 damage, and pretty much you're going to need all of it if you want to have a chance at that death blow. But if you get at least 1 death blow, you freeze all enemies so they can't act this turn, which is actually good enough. Or they can't act, they skip 1 action, I think that's the freeze. Which is good enough if you can get it once. And the final one is Ice Lance, 5 speed frost ability with 1 cooldown. You freeze a character this turn only. If it was already frozen, you deal 10 damage to it instead. So, okay. So the scaling on the damage is quite nice. So at rank 3 you deal 20 damage, rank 4 you deal 23 damage, and then rank 5 you deal 25 damage. The fact that you can freeze any character just this turn, so if you are faster than them, you just skip their turn. If they were already frozen by something, so Lich King had a freezing ability, I think. Yeah, his taunt was freezing any melee attackers that attacked him. It's an interesting combination. I'm not sure if Jaina had anything. Jaina had water elementals that were freezing. So you can keep on stacking that as well. Okay. So there is some interesting interaction here with the freezing. For the equipment, Potion of Ice. Flurry deals 1 more damage, so it's flat out damage increase up to 4. I think this is actually really nice. Because this is the one that deals to 3 targets and slows them. So you can increase the damage by up to 12, which is really, really good increase on damage. Second equipment is Band of Frost. Passive. After you freeze an enemy, gain 1 frost damage, and that scales up to 3. Okay. Okay. So you can increase the damage by a lot if you have any decent freeze. So Water Elemental, his Ice Lance, and Lich King, those are the only ways that we can freeze at the moment. I think that's not enough to build a Frost comp. It is interesting. He seems like a Frost Lord because he's just going to be passively building that Frost damage. If he can get his AoE to kill anything, that's quite a lot of Frost damage he can get as well. But you need to start that getting going somehow. I don't know how that's going to work yet, but Band of Frost seems like an amazing choice, just not yet. We need more ways to freeze. And the last one is Chilling Amulet. Deathrattle, deal 2 damage to all enemies and freeze a random enemy until the end of next turn. So I think if you're going to be using Varden, this is going to be really good equipment for you. Just because I don't expect Varden to stick around for an awful long of time. And having that additional AoE burst when he dies. He essentially Frost Novas when he dies. Freezes one enemy and deals damage to the others. It's a good equipment. I think this equipment is going to be better than Band of Frost. But I prefer Band of Frost if we can get more freeze options. I will still try to build freeze with what we have. To see what else we can do with the support of this. So probably it's going to be like a slow. Because there was a character, I think that was Kern, that was dealing damage for each opponent that hasn't acted yet. So just slowing down your opponents, freezing them. This might be an interesting option for that. And then Band of Frost eventually is going to start getting some damage. So then AoE can do more and more damage. And it also boosts Jaina. Jaina also gets Frost damage. So you can actually match that up somehow. And get something going. Yeah. I'm talking myself into it. But it's a very basic composition of just 3 mercenaries at the moment. So as far as Varden is considered, because his Frost damage gain is really difficult, we don't have that many freeze effects, and he doesn't do a lot of damage on his own, I'm going to put him at a B. He's going to be grade B. He is decent. He has a huge potential, but I think we need a bit more freezing characters for Varden to actually see his full potential. Second to last, our penultimate mercenary is going to be the Shadowhunter himself. The old war chief of the Horde, Volgin. So Volgin is a caster troll. On level 1, he has 1 attack and 8 health. So on the lower level of health, but as we've seen casters so far. Level 15, 4 attack, 40 health, decent health total. Attack is getting up there. And level 30, 9 attack, 76 health. Fairly high attack for a caster, 76 health. He's actually fairly high health as well. Because he's in the upper 70s for casters, that's actually quite a lot, as we have seen. So Volgin was a priest, if I remember correctly. Yes, he was a shadow priest, exactly. So I'm expecting some shadow interactions, hopefully. So, first ability, Shadow Shock. 6 speed, shadow ability. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. Its next ability is 1 speed slower. And it ranks up quite nicely. It ranks up this slowing as well, but I don't think you need the 5 speed slower, because this is already a 6 speed ability, so if you can slow something, I guess 5 speed, if you're acting after that enemy, and then 5 speed is going to be more important, but even 4 speed is going to be enough, because the fastest ability is 2, and that doesn't do an awful lot, and if you delay the 2 to 6, you're going to be fine. So I think your breakpoint on this ability is going to be rank 4. That 4 speed is going to be important. 11 damage, not so much. 10 damage would be perfectly fine. 11 damage is alright. If you have spare coins, you can go for the 5. But you don't need it. I think rank 4 is going to be perfectly fine. Unless you're playing against a composition that just speeds themselves up. But then Shadow Shock is not going to do an awful lot either way. Next ability is Shadow Surge. It's a 5 speed shadow ability with 1 cooldown that deals 2 damage to all enemies. But on shadow combo, you deal 6 damage instead, so it is an AoE combo. The damage ramps up nicely. On rank 3, you deal 8 damage and then 14 on shadow combo. So it is progressively increased, but then it stays on that increase of 6 damage. So then you can get a flat 2 damage increase if you go to rank 5. Which 16 damage is actually the level we expect. And then, oh god, then we have Thompson Thompson on 2 speed gains 5. Then this on 5 speed deals 21 on turn 2. And then you have Anathema as well. This is scary, actually. This is starting to get me scared. Because then you have Anathema, which is going to deal like 19 damage as well. Which is 41 on turn 2 to the board. AoE might be a good build for Shadow. And we still have one more ability for Volgin. So we have Curse of Weakness, which is 3 speed Shadow ability with 1 cooldown. Give all enemies +2 Shadow Weakness this turn. Deal 2 damage to them. So this is another AoE that you can interchange with the previous one. And the Shadow Weakness is essentially they take more damage from the Shadow abilities. So it ramps up nicely, and this is the ability that you do want on rank 5 as soon as possible, because it still stays at the 3 speed, but it does +6 Shadow Weakness this turn and 8 damage to them, so that's 14 on the spot. Which of course you can interchange with the 16 on the other one, but it's also going to be benefiting from the shadow damage. And Anathema is just going to be crazy with the Shadow Weakness, because Anathema is slower than Curse of Weakness, because Anathema is 6 speed. Which means Anathema is suddenly looking like 19 and 6, 25. And that's every other turn. If you have Teldrassil, you have damage, heal, damage, heal, damage, heal. Yeah, the Shadow comp looks really strong with Thompson, Volgin, and Nathalie. Let's see what Volgin has hidden as his equipment. Can he get better? A Static Seahorse. Shadow Shock deals 2 more damage, and that scales up to 5 more damage. That's the slowing ability. It's alright, it just deals a bit more damage. It's incidental damage. I don't think I would be upgrading that unless I need to. And then we have Glaive of Volgin. Shadow Surge deals 1 more damage, and that goes all the way up to 4. But Shadow Surge, and I'm just going to double check it here now. Yeah, Shadow Surge is the AoE with the Shadow combo. So Shadow Surge, this is going to put Shadow Surge at 25 damage with Thompson on turn 2, and then Anathema another 19, and then after that you can increase the Shadow Weakness just for 1 turn, but still plenty. And last one is Ring of Haste. Your Shadow abilities are 1 speed faster, and that goes all the way up to 3. I actually don't like this one. I don't like this one. It works well for the Shock ability, the one that slows down, but it doesn't work with the... Oh, wait. Now I'm double guessing myself. Does this increase speed of all of your Shadow abilities or just Volgin's? If it's all abilities, this is insane, because it just makes Anathema 3 speed. It makes a lot of abilities way, way better for Shadow. If this is indeed a... Yeah, it doesn't say this max. It says your Shadow ability. Okay, this is actually really, really good. So, between Ring of Haste and between Glaive of Volgin, you do have a hard choice which one you want to go for. Because Ring of Haste, if you have a lot of Shadow build, you can just make all of that faster. I mean, it just makes faster Thompson's basic ability. Gul'dan's heal is Shadow. Nathalie's abilities get faster. You essentially can act fast. First, even. You can act first. You still have cooldown on your best abilities, so you still need to plan that out. But there is a lot of damage that can be dealt with this, and faster than your opponent, and I think that's going to be scary. So this is the haste that the Shadow was known for in World of Warcraft, which I like how they're putting it in here. Volgin, I like you, and you're going to be put in a very vast category of A, because you're solid. Your equipments are solid. All 3 of them, I think, are fairly solid. Your abilities are really, really good. And we technically have 2 Shadow Lords. So between Volgin and Thompson, it's worth running Shadow Composition, especially AoE Shadow Composition. But running 3 casters, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a challenge, especially on PvP, but I'm looking forward to running 3 casters composition. And we are finally here. This is going to be the last mercenary that we have datamined. And after this, the only thing that's left is theory crafting. And I'm going to be theory crafting the heck out of this. So, Zyrella, the last of the mercenaries. The last of mercenaries from the story as well. So Zyrella is a Draenei priest, so she's a caster. On level 1 she has 1 attack and 7 health, so she's fairly weak. On level 15 she has 2 attack and 36 health, and on level 30 she has 5 attack and 68 health. So she is low on health, low on attack. She's a healer, she's a priest. So she definitely will be able to heal your party and hopefully help you survive a lot. So her first ability is Blinding Luminance. Illuminate! Sorry. 3 speed holy ability. Deal 2 damage to an enemy and give it -2 attack this turn. So this is a really good ability. Someone pointed out in one of the comments as well that this works amazing with Samuro, and that's true. Because this is faster than Samuro's double strike. So you deal damage, you lower the attack of the target, and then Samuro attacks it twice, which combos out Samuro ridiculously well. And the breakpoint is rank 3 as usual, deal 8 damage, -6 attack, and then it scales all the way up to 10 damage and -8 attack. So definitely a decent ability to have. Not sure if that's decent of an ability to upgrade, but worth a shot. Next ability is Flash Heal. 4 speed, no cooldown, holy ability, heal something. By 5, 9, 13, and 13 is your breaking point. Your breakpoint. It's a really good amount to heal. It scales up to 15. It's not an awful lot there. 2 health difference can sometimes win you a game, but nothing you really need to. The fact you can heal any target is really nice, and it has no cooldown. So it is going to be useful, it's going to help you survive. And her final ability is Atonement. Okay, so Atonement is... was it Holy ability? I think it's Holy. It's either Holy or Discipline. Atonement is 9 speed ability, Holy ability with 1 cooldown. Deal 9 damage. Fair enough. Plus 1 damage each time you restore 20 health. And at the moment I know that there is some problem with calculation, and because of the data mining it's a bit complicated to see how much damage it does. We can work out that if it starts at 9 damage, it probably caps in around 18, I think, if I remember correctly, similar numbers. And as far as we know, it always increases damage by 1 for every 20 health you restore. But of course, the higher life total you have, the more health you will restore. And it doesn't need to be her that's restoring it. So all the AoE heals of Anduin and other characters are just going to increase the healing of Atonement. And yeah, it's going to eventually become a really good hitting ability. But at the beginning, it's not going to be that great. It's going to be a good single target eventually, as people hit you and then you heal it out, because you have just AoE heals and they hit you AoE and then you heal AoE. Hopefully you can out heal their AoE. That's the only thing I can say. Her first equipment is Radiant Wand. Blinding Luminance deals 1 more damage and gives -1 attack more. You can stack it up to 4 times, so it's going to be lowering by 12 attack, which essentially means that your Samuro is going to be immune. It's a very interesting build with Samuro to use Zyrella. I'm quite excited to see what I can do with that. But beside that, Zyrella can be quite good in just generally a holy comp. Just to remove some of that attack from melee attackers. If your opponent has melee attackers, that is. Next equipment is Shard of the Naru. So this is what she was looking for to save her daughter. Flash heal restores 5 more health, but has cooldown 1. That is a bit of a hit. So you can increase the healing by up to 20. So Flash heal is going to be doing 35 if you have it max level, and Shard of Naru is max level. But yeah, that one cooldown, it is essentially increasing your heal by a lot. But one cooldown might be detrimental when you need to keep on healing turn after turn after turn after turn. And the final equipment is Robes of Purity. Atonement requires 2 less healing to upgrade, and I love this one. Atonement, it's going to go down all the way to 5 less healing to upgrade, which means that your flash heal on its own, if it's going to get its full value, it's going to heal 15, and it's going to upgrade your atonement so you can get 1 damage every turn. But if you get, of course, bigger healings, AoE healings, and other stuff that increases healing, it's going to be absolutely amazing to increase the damage on the atonement. Problem I have is that the damage gain with atonement doesn't scale that well, doesn't scale at all as you go up. So it might take a very long time to build up the atonement enough to do any significant damage. I might be wrong. If it actually hits that 20 odd damage, it might be alright, and you should be able to take out some of the characters, but you might also run out of characters to heal at some point if they're just going to concentrate one character at a time and just take it down. Where do I put Zyrella? She's solid. She has good heal. She has decent support with the attack reduction, but she doesn't do anything. She can't carry a lot on her own. I think the increase in damage on atonement is too slow. I'm going to put her in grade B with the asterisk, because I don't know how much damage atonement does. So I'm going to put her in grade B. And that's it, guys. That was the last of the mercenaries reviewed. So we have seen all of the mercenaries, graded all of them, analyzed all of them. I know that I probably missed something, so you're going to let me know down in the comments what I missed. And starting tomorrow, we're going to be uploading our theory crafting, well, my theory crafting. If you have any ideas of what I could theory craft, do let me know. I just have too many ideas to do, and I have only 7 days left. So do let me know what compositions would you like to see. I know I'm going to be starting tomorrow with fire composition, because I've been looking at it for ages and I absolutely love the AoE bomb. And probably after tomorrow I'm going to be doing shadow composition with some twist to it. So that's another thing you can look forward to. And after that, I have a blank slate, so do let me know in the comments what compositions would you like to see, what would you like me to tackle, or which character would you like to see built around, because that's also a thing that can be done. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. That helps the algorithm so we can make more videos for you guys. And remember that I'm going to be streaming this live on next Tuesday. When it comes live, it's going to be 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time. 6 p.m. British Summer Time and 7 p.m. Central European Summer Time. And I have no idea what's going to be the American time, but I think you can... I think I will know by the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow.